Hello and welcome back to the channel. Okay, once again, thank you for the amazing support, and to all the new subscribers that are joining this channel, thank you for accompanying us on this journey. This channel belongs to you guys at the end of the day. If you're interested in video games or airsoft or guns in general, this is the channel for you. Comment section's there for you to discuss, criticize, whatever, with that said, let's get into today's video. Okay, with today's video, we're having a look at a Heckler & Koch. Again, I love the HK logo, simple and well built, as they say. And nothing describes this gun more than that. It's simplified but very well built. And it's probably, to me, the most iconic of the 90s. And the sole trending, I would say, handgun of that time, and it's all thanks to H&K and the US SOCOM and their order for a brand new weapon, as you would say, or an offensive hand cannon, let's say. So what do we have here? Well, this, as you can tell, is KWA stroke KSC. KSC makes their Japanese variant, meaning plastic side. KWA makes the full metal for the rest of the world. And this is, as you can see here, the Umarex HK MK23 in black, and it is a gas powered but also gas blowback. This thing is absolutely ridiculously amazing gun. Super overpowered, just like it's real steel, but also, really reliable and really well built. So let's have a look. So as you open the box, as you can see, you're presented with your little instruction manual, which I believe, has not changed now in like 15 years with Umarex guns, whether it's VFC manufactured or KWA or what have you. So we'll set that off to the side. Now there she is. That is the Mark 23. Now there's only two. Before we get into this, there are two Mark 23s on the market. You have the Tokyo Marui design, which is split into ASG, who ripped them off, Marui themselves, and Novarich, who ripped off that, and he's basically using the Tokyo Marui with his own markings on it. I don't know how that's happening, but it is one of those. Maybe he's done some. Again, that's all R&D from other people, but from all intents and purposes, it's Marui's design that he's using. Yeah, he's added other things, and I'm sure the comments would explode with, "Oh, it's better." You pick your side or whatever, you pick what you believe in. The information is too, convoluted, to be honest with you. So this one being the gas blowback, there's only this that's gas blowback. It's that simple. There is no other option at this moment in time. And there hasn't been in 15 years, I believe, since the Marui one started. With this one, like I say, you'll pick it up, and the first thing you notice as you take it out is the weight. With a full metal milled aluminum slide, a nylon polymer grip. It's not just ABS, it's actual nylon polymer, and you could feel that it's rigid. There's no give at all. This thing is stout. Fitting in the hand, the best way of describing this, have you ever had a Desert Eagle in your hand, which was way too much and you wished it was just a slightly tad more narrow in your hand to give you a better grip? This is that gun. It is really good. Now, as it is gas blowback, like I say, I will show you the other features in a moment. On the grip, you've got your HK .45, which will go to its other family of guns, which this spawned. This is the genesis of it. You have your mandatory Asian caliber 6mm BB and their F here, so it can, I would say, be imported to Europe, etc. But, take that as a me, you can hardly see it. It will wear out. On the rest of the slide, as you can see here, you have your slide serial number, your caliber, .45, US SOCOM, Mark 23 and HK, which are, whether you want to go, they're not too deep or what have you, that's entirely up to you. Now, when you purchase this gun, you won't have the thread protector on it. For some reason, KWA never supplied it with one. It is 16mm clockwise, so any thread protector will fit. I have one for this, but I take it off to show you exactly how you get. You do have the screw hole, and yes, the Tokyo Marui LAM unit, if you've modded it and put all the cool LEDs and made it actually work and not just be a toy, will fit this gun, and any real steel, it's full 1-to-1. The actual decocker is a actual working part, so if we slide that back, you can just decock. You have your ambi-safe, which if you put on, you have to have the hammer primed to switch to safe for some reason, but it will stop. Put it down, you can drop the hammer. You have a massive beefy hammer, and you've got the sights, which I'll try and get that lined up for you. You have the 3 white dots. Again, you know, they're deep enough that you could scoop that out, and if you have some tritium or fishing lure sights, you can actually fit, depending on how you want to do it. But the white sights are just great for target acquiring. Speaking of which, you can see the raised plinths, front and rear, which brings the standard sights to suppressor height. So if you do put one on, you will see past your suppressor, especially if it's a Knight's Armament replica or not, you know. Or the HK45 suppressor, which I currently own from Tokyo Marui. You have your nice chunky paddle release for your mag. And on the other side, you've got basically your Heckler & Koch Germany marking. There's your unique serial number underneath for your gun. And you have your HK .45. Let's see if we can get that in. There you go. HK45 auto, and its serial number. Whoop. Come on, camera. I can't wait till the new camera arrives for this. You've got your ambi, you know, safeties on this side. And again, it repeats the 45, which is nice to see that it's on both sides and not just on one. The stippling is lovely. It's not too aggressive, but it's enough to grip. One thing I have noticed as well, they've put a lovely spring-loaded mock extractor on there, which is quite nice. It's a nice little touch. Didn't need to, but they did, just for realism. So, yeah. I mean, it is just an absolute awesome gun. So let's get the nice sweet talking out the way and let's get it chronoed. Okay, I'm using 0.2 gram BBs and green gas. Okay, now if we bear in mind where that's hitting, you can see that's quite a high FPS. You can actually swap the inner barrel and make it a short one with a few easy things to do. Now let's take it back, let's see what the accuracy is like. And let's give it some shots from around about 50 meters, which is your closest, I would say, CQB you really want to get, and more realistic, because anything further than that, it's really going to be an outdoor, which this gun suits really well as well. Wow. Okay, so we've managed to get a good chronograph and accuracy test. Let's have a look at the chrono results. So you're looking at 380 to 385 FPS on green gas with 0.2s, which, you know, that's all great. That's actually quite good. Let's get this back into focus. There it goes. Which is actually quite a good, you know, good piece of kit, as you would say, for that. Obviously, if you shrink the inner barrel, which I'll show you how to do later, it's quite simple process to do, and you can bring that down to CQB levels, as in your local sights of less than 350 if you wish. But if you're planning on using this for an outdoor, you know, you're looking at great. Now, if you look at the accuracy, which we can take a look at here, sorry for the blurriness, again, my camera in its autofocus. You can see here, I mean, this is a 6-inch target that I was shooting at, and that is 1.5 to 2 inches, barely. It's entirely, I mean, there's the initial grout that we put in, and you've got this sort of like spread, and that's at 15 meters, which 15 meters is what, 40 feet, thereabouts? That's more than enough for a CQB gun to be accurate. I haven't noticed anything between that and the smaller barrel. It just seems to be powerful. But one thing I do notice with this gun is it's bloody loud. Now we've done all that, let's see about if we can tear this down. So we'll leave the hammer back. So to strip it down, all you do is you bring it to here, and then you obviously, like any Browning action, pop the pin. Be careful with this one. As you can see, you've got its return spring still attached to this arm for some reason. It's just the way that they did it. So back a little bit more, and we can slide it off. Now, as you can see here, you have a full metal guide rail here on the sides. You have your transfer bar here from the trigger, and all the pins and stuff are exactly as it should be. I mean, you're talking really, really good. And, you know, it's stunning. I mean, it's like you've got your link here, which will drop down its safety. Again, it's depending on it being reset like that. So you do it, and then boom. But as you do it, you can see you're actually hitting the firing pin here with the hammer. The hammer itself does that. So, yeah, that's great. And like I say, it's a lovely design the way that they've done it. It's very simplistic, and it's basically been used now. It's their NS2, oh no, NS7, sorry. So, if I remember rightly, new system 7, which is brilliant. You know, I mean, it's a great working, I would say, gun. It's a good workhorse, and it will last you a long time because the parts that need to be steel are, and those parts that can get away with being alloy can get away with being alloy. The hammer doesn't actually have a dimple. It's just a one into the actual the alloy hammer, because the hammer is not steel like on other guns, like their USP Tactical. So, with that said, let's have a look at the slide now. Now, as you can see, you have a massive slide. I mean, it's massive. It's a dual spring guide rod. So you have your main spring, which takes the most of the recoil, and then you have this little buffer. Well, I say little, it's like halfway across the guide rod. But that absorbs the actual recoil, because this thing is really, really big. You know, it does take in some, I would say, some of the actual thump in your hand, so it's really pleasant to shoot. It's captured, which is great. Always good when you can have captured parts. Now here's where it gets kind of cool. The actual outer barrel and the hop-up chamber aren't actually attached. The lockup is that secure that you can get a decent grouping, as you've seen, just based on the lockup, so they don't need to attach a pin like we've seen in others. This, though, is for some that's going to be a deal breaker or not. If you like Marui, you like me, you don't bother whether it's polymer or not. This is a polymer outer barrel. They do make steel ones. I believe Mil-Spec Solutions sell them here, and they're like 80 quid from there or something silly. But you can import them for around about the £50 mark. It is O-ring sealed, which does hold on the lockup. And you have a lovely 6.2 inch in a barrel. Now this is where your hop chamber is as well. Inside the box, you're given a hop adjustment tool, which you place into the hop chamber, and you can adjust either way. That allows you to basically adjust the hop. Obviously, the more to the right, the more hop, the more to the left, the less hop. This is currently, as you can see, set around the middle-ish, so it's just right. Now on this, if you want to change the the inner barrel, you pop these two pins here, pull off the feed ramp, and undo the screw here. You undo this little screw, take this little bar off, and the whole thing slides out. You can just put all this furniture here onto the new one and slot it all back together, and it will retain, you know, its lockup and fitting, and hopefully your zero if you can get it back to how you left it. Now, when we get to the slide, it's a big thing. I think if I remember rightly, it's a 15 or a 16 millimeter blowback piston head on a stainless steel piston itself. And the housing is secured by one pin, which is the one thing I've had to do since I bought this, was to unthread that because it was loose and add some thread lock to it. When you screw that through, it holds this whole blowback unit in, which in return holds the spring-loaded mock pin here, which helps absorb the hammer. As you can see, that little divot is, well, I say divot, it's not even the scratch or what have you, it's just because it hits that. Nozzles are easily to replace by just undoing that screw. Like I say, dropping this unit out, it's easy enough. As you can see, other than that, it's a nice milled aluminum slide. So if we reassemble, it's quite simple. Just place that back in there. You can only go one way, it's easy to remember. And we just get to find that there, and lock that down, put the toggle back in, and it's completely locked in. With that, we then take our gun, slide the rail on, and put it to its little gap, place that in. Like I say, just like any 1911 or USP, which this was the precursor for. So yeah, with me, when I bought it, because I wanted to fit rails, that's its other downside, is the rail system here. This is the original H&K rail. Because it was the first, there is no Picatinny. You have to buy adapters. They're very expensive. So I knew a person on eBay who was selling 3D printed ones for like £7, I think it was, plus shipping. And I bought one of the adapters. Helps it make it look like a space gun, which is just simple. Your retention screw that you would normally have goes here, and yeah, it's just a case of screwing it down and tightening it up. So put it in like you would normal. Once it's in, you can tighten it up quite easily, just as it is, you know. But yeah, we just tighten that up, and that now allows you to fit any light and lasers. And as I say, you can buy the thread protectors online just in case you're worried about the polymer. And away you go. And it kind of looks like a space gun now. Now this model is as close as you're going to get to the real steel for multiple reasons. Main reason being, like I say, if you're like me and you love gas blowbacks and you really want an actual good kick and a good feeling, this is the gun for you. The Maru one is great as a long distance jungle quiet sneaky sniper because it can reach out and touch with .2s, but you really do have to put a lot of money and work into it. And the gubbins they give you, the case is worth about £7. So the lamb unit is a £5 because it's just plastic. It's not even a polymer or anything or hardened stuff. It's just plastic with a cheap little bulb in it and an LED. You'd have to spend another £100 getting the equipment and then actually be good at, wiring it all up to make it actually work. But if you're into that, knock yourself out. The suppressor is Knight's Armament, like I say. The Maru one fits. You can pick them up for a tenner these days. So, if you want that gun, but you want this features, this is the gun for you. It's actually the same price as the Maru currently, which is another win. So, this is really good. And for me, has been the closest you can get to owning a real one here in this country. But also, like I say, it's so rare because people don't know it exists. I think the KWA only make a handful from what I've heard in Asia, and then they've got to sprinkle throughout the world to us. The last batch was in 2020. I got this one, when was it? It was the beginning of this year, I believe I picked this one up. And I had to import it myself. But like I say, it didn't cost that much more than getting the Maru set at this moment in time. So it's, it's up to you how you want to go about it. But I would certainly say KWA have made themselves known, the hot. You either love it or you hate it. I've had no issues. Both my USP and this have both been running multiple thousands of rounds through it. And I've always retained the 0 I put on it the first day. It just works, It's annoying, the little ball bearing thing in it is annoying when you lose it. But you're not going to be taking it apart that often, You're not going to be swapping out hop-up nubs or out like that. This can lift anything up to a 2.8, no problem. After 2.8, you will need to change the hop-up bucking. That KWA cell, you can find them on fire support. You can find them all over now. So like I say, it's a really good gun and it's well worth it for any good HK collectors out there. If you want the genesis of a modern style of pistol with ambi, safety, decocking, etc., rail, light, threaded, all that stuff, this is the gun for you. This is such an important gun in history and still is to this day. It's beloved. So this has been Middle Aged Gamer. You guys have been awesome, and I will see you in the next one.